Hello everybody, Prow here, and I'm going to bring to you today a tutorial that a lot of people asked me for. In my stream survival world, make sure you follow me on Twitch or catch the streams here on YouTube, I made this farm you see behind me. It is a bee-powered villager crop / honeycomb farm. And it's honestly quite amazing. So amazing, in fact, it gets me so much stuff here. You see, I haven't really even had this thing that long, and my crop area is filling up. And with the use of the composters, anything that ends up being overflow will come into here and get automatically made into bone blocks. And as you can see, it gets tons of honeycomb as well. You could probably retrofit this to also do honey bottles if you wanted to. The redstone setup's going to be a lot different, and honey bottles are a little bit harder to do, so it's going to take up more space, but it would be possible. I wouldn't recommend it. I would recommend just the honeycomb here. But either way, this farm is great because the bees will, as they fly around, they will bone meal the crops to grow them even faster than they normally would. And you get the honeycomb, you get the crops. It's just a nice farm to have because the bees help reduce the size of the farm for how many crops you actually get. You can see that guy right now, he's flying around bone mealing as we speak. If you enjoy these types of videos, please make sure you click the subscribe button. I'm counting on all you guys. If you watch this video, you got to click the subscribe button for me. Most of you are not subscribed right now. Click the like button if you enjoyed this specific video, and make sure you turn notifications on. That way, every time I come out with a tutorial or a new guide episode or anything like that, you get notified. Without further ado, let me go ahead and hop into the tutorial. All right, so this is where I want to start. Wherever it is that you're going to have your actual crops be grown, whether this be, just at ground level where you're walking around or you're digging out a big area inside of a cave or underground or whatever, 2 blocks below your crop level, you're going to want to start with a block here, and you're going to actually make a platform that is 39 by 39 blocks long. So 39 one way, 39 the other way. Some of these blocks we are going to punch out to replace here in a second, but it's easier if you just set up the whole platform first. So let me go ahead and get that set up and show you what that looks like. Okay, now once you finish, you should have a 39 by 39 platform, just like I have right here. And you're going to probably want to mark the middle block, which I've done here. Once you have that platform, now is when we start replacing some blocks. And we're actually going to use a full light block here. So the carved pumpkin, the jack-o'-lantern, is probably the easiest one to use because all you got to do is plant some pumpkins, shear them, and then combine them with the torch. Very easy to get even in the early game, as long as they give a full light level. And I'll explain the light level here in just a second. But what you're going to want to do for placing these is you're going to want to place them every other block apart from each other, making a grid-like pattern just like this throughout the entire area all the way down. The reason that we're doing that is because our farmland's going to be up here, right? And one thing that crops require to have, other than water to be able to grow, is they have to have a proper light level. I think it's light level 7 or 8, something around there, or higher to be able to grow. Now, the reason that the pumpkins or another light source underneath works is because whenever you change this over to farmland to start planting your crops, the light can actually go through farmland. It's just how Minecraft works, which means that we can hide all of our lighting down below without making the top look really messy by spamming lights everywhere or putting lights up that are going to get in the way of our bees flying around. So with that being said, go ahead and do the whole grid now. What we're going to do now is we're going to put in our rail systems. I say systems because we're going to be collecting via hopper minecarts, and we're going to have 2 separate but in the same area hopper minecart tracks. The way that this is going to end up running is our mine carts are going to end up unloading in the middle of one of the sides. If you have a specific side you want to be your unloading side, you're going to start on the opposite side of this. So if we're going to unload over here, so I'm going to start at this corner up here. Now, first, I'm just going to go ahead and I'm going to mark this area right here, but we're actually going to set up all of our power first for our powered rails. We're going to start at the corner here. We're going to count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. On that 10th block, we want to power this block. You can use redstone blocks. You can put any solid block and have a lever underneath. Any of those things is fine, but you're going to do it for the entire row. So take this entire row right here, take out all of the blocks that are there and put down redstone blocks, or put levers underneath all of them and power all of them from down below. Either way is perfectly fine. And you're going to want to do the same thing on the opposite side. Count over the 10. Take out the blocks and power the entire row. Okay, so going back to where we started, I'm going to power this block right here. And we're going to put down two powered rails. And we're going to run regular rails across until we get to our powered rail area. And we're going to run 3 powered rails just like that. We're going to take this down. And then we're going to get to our powered rail area. We're going to put down 1, 2, 3. And we're going to bring it down again, curve it around, get here again, 1, 2, 3. And then we're going to do this and snake this all the way close to the end. One thing though, when I get to right here, what I can do is I can just knock this out really quick to curve this around and then put it back down. Rails could be really weird sometimes and they might try to connect the things you don't want them to. So that's why I do that. But I'm going to continue this until I get to my center and I end up on that side. So I'm not sure if it's this row or this row, but one of these 2 rows, I'll end up down there. So I'm going to continue that. Okay, so I'm finishing up this row right here. You can see I made it to 1 short of where the center was. I'm going to bring that down here. And for now, I'm just going to let this continue out this way. We'll do more with this later. Now what I want to do is I want to start from right here. And I want to do the same thing as I did before. Let me get to the point where I show you where it all connects though, or doesn't connect. That way you can more easily understand and see exactly what's going to happen here. So as I'm making my return trip with the rails, I don't know why I did that right there. Did you guys catch that? Because I didn't. We do not want to connect with this. We do not, because this is our drop off point. So I'm just going to run this rail one further and then loop this around. And then we're going to continue to snake this around all the way till we get to the very end. All right, and we're making our way to the end of the line here. We'll get right here. We're gonna do the same thing we did over there. I'm just going to break this block, put down a redstone block, put a block right here, put 2 rails. And then now what we have set up is 2 different hopper minecart systems. And there's a very important reason why you have to do at a minimum 2. You don't really need to do more than 2. You could if you wanted to, but you cannot do this with just 1. The reason why is because it takes the minecart a while to go through, and there's going to be a lot of drops here, at least if you do this farm in the way that I do with whatever crops you decide to grow. If you're just growing 1 crop or 2 crops, let's say potatoes and carrots, you could maybe get by with 1. I haven't tested, but you probably still want to have the 2. I would recommend it because it's pretty easy to set up and do. If you're doing all of the crops like I like to, where you have 1 quadrant is wheat, 1 quadrant beetroot, 1 quadrant is potato, and 1 quadrant is carrots, and then you also have the honeycomb in the middle, that's actually 8 different drops that can go inside of your hopper minecart that your hopper minecart needs to be able to pick up. And your hopper minecart only has 5 slots. So what'll happen is it can pick up to 5 different things, but once it gets to that 6th thing, it can't pick it up. So you would infinitely end up having 1 type of crop, most likely whatever is like furthest back, will just not ever get picked up by the hopper minecart. So that's why you need to have 2 of them. Okay, now next thing we're going to do is we're going to set up our crop field. We'll worry about the collection here in just a little bit. I want to get the crop field in first. And to do that, first thing you want to do is go above one of your corners with a solid block, and we're going to outline where our farm is going. There we go. So we're going to do the entire inside here with dirt, except for, actually, you can do this now because it's a good time to find it. Where your center was, you're going to want to go ahead and pull a block up from there, and you're going to want to go 3 blocks out in each direction And this area right here is a no-go area for dirt because we're going to be using this area right here to collect our honeycomb and to set up our honeycomb farm and just our little base station where our bees are going to go. And then also from that center point, you're going to want to draw a nice solid line of blocks going out to divide this one farm into 4 different sides, into 4 quadrants. So all said and done, this is what you should end up with. Now fill all 4 of those with dirt. Okay, once you have your dirt everywhere, now is when we need to add in our water because water is required to hydrate our crops so they can grow. So what we're going to do is we're going to go 1, 2, 3, 4 from the corner. And on that 5th block, go ahead and place down a stair. Now, from that stair, go ahead and count over 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And on the 9th block, put a stair. Go ahead and do that upwards in this direction as well. So you're going to want to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 9th block, put a stair. Make sure it's facing upwards. And then go ahead and line that up with the other side. And put water in each one of these stairs. Now you're going to use a hoe to till up your land, but I wanted to show you why we do it this way. Crops can get hydrated up to 4 blocks out. 1, 2, 3, 4. Takes us to the edge. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. So you can hydrate this much area from one water source. And as you'll see here, you can go out the 4 in each direction here, obviously, but also goes out 1, 2, 3, 4. So this is the proper spacing. You're going to do this exact same amount of spacing in all 4 quadrants, and then you are going to till all the land with a hoe. Okay, next thing, we need to set up our leaves around the outside because this is what our bees are going to be attracted to. Bees are attracted to flowers, and the cherry leaves and the flowering azalea leaves actually count to the bees as flowers. So what we're going to want to do is take either one of these. You're going to want to put these on top of your solid blocks going all the way around. And you're going to want to do that 2 blocks high. That way your villagers are not able to get out. Okay, next, whatever side it is that you want to be able to get in and out of the farm on, it doesn't really matter what side it is. We're just going to set it up over here. I'm just going to pop out 2 of these leaves. And I'm going to place down 2 fences. You could probably just do 1 would be okay. I like to use 2 just as a little extra safety to make sure the villagers don't sneak in and out when I'm trying to go in and out. But this will be fine as well. Now it's time to set up the bee part of our farm. Everything is fully automatic, including the creation of the shears. This is going to be very easy for you guys. So what I want to do is I want you to come down here. I want you to place a solid block here, 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 here. Do it on all of the corners just like this. On top of all those is where you're going to set your beehives or your nests. If you have bees inside of the hive or nest, you may or may not want to set it down yet. You could put down some sort of a placeholder block there for now if you want to, and then replace these in at the end. That's going to be up to you. I don't have to worry about the bees. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to place the hives down. You're going to place them down all facing the outside. What direction they face is very, very important. Next thing we're going to want is a couple of observers. We're going to face one this way and this way, this way and this way. It's fine that it's not looking at all of them. What happens is every time a bee goes into or comes out of one of the hives, the observer observes that and it will send out a redstone signal, which is all that we want it to do. So I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to place solid block here and here. Just these 3 little areas right there. Next, I want to get in my dispensers, which are going to be shearing our hives. To do that, I'm going to place down a temporary block above each one of these. Just get below it and then look up at the block and place your dispenser down. That will face it downwards. So you'll want to do that for all of these. Now, once you have that, you're going to want to take a target block. It has to be a target block. You make this with a hay bale and some redstone dust. Pretty easy. Place a target block in all 4 corners, just like this. And place redstone dust across just like this. Basically, what's going to happen is anytime a bee goes into or comes out of any of the 4 hives that are being watched by the observer, that is going to send a redstone signal up to this redstone line. This is going to power all 4 target blocks at the same time and will activate or trigger all 8 dispensers at the same time. And the reason why this is okay to do is because the shears that will end up going inside of the dispensers, the shears do not actually take a durability loss or durability hit unless they actually shear something. So it's fine that we trigger them extra times. Next is going to be setting up our hoppers. Super easy. Place a hopper facing straight down by crouching and clicking on each one of these. You see the spout is facing downwards. Next, I want you to identify the side that you want to be able to place your iron into for the automatically crafted shears. If you want that side to be shown, to be visible from a certain side, you're going to start this from that side. Me personally, I like to hide the chest because it's a little ugly up there, although you can definitely decorate around it if you want to. I'm going to have my chest be on this side. So what I'm going to do, our chest is going to end up going above the left side of here. So I'm going to start right here on the right. I'm going to face a hopper down into that one by holding down my crouch button and clicking on this hopper to face the spout down. And then I'm going to just run it across like this. So you see I go across and then I skip through the middle because I don't want my hopper to be out here. It'd be kind of ugly. And then you'll see that my hoppers go above all of the hoppers that are pointing down. So you'll end up with something like this, where the first hopper's facing down and all of the other hoppers are taking these shears to that hopper. Now, starting from this one, that's kind of like the end of the line, the hopper that does not have any other hoppers going into it. We're going to face 1, 2 hoppers down into that hopper. Coming from this top hopper right here, I'm going to place a temporary block here and a temporary block here. Get rid of this temporary block. And I'm going to get a crafter. I'm going to face the crafter towards this hopper. So I'm going to stand on this side of it, place the crafter down. That way it's pointing inward. And I'm going to have a hopper facing into the crafter right there. And then I'm going to put a double chest right here, just like this. So that's your setup. Next, I'm going to place solid blocks on this side, on the inner side of these 2 guys. And I'm also going to go down by 1 with a temporary block and place a solid block here and a solid block here. These technically don't have to be solid blocks, but we're going to make them that way. And then what I'm going to do is place a temporary block here and here. I'm going to face a hopper into that. I'm going to face a hopper into that hopper. It's 2 hoppers looking at each other. You see the setup? I'm going to put any item in here just to cycle back and forth between these 2 hoppers. You'll see that it's going back and forth. It's making a kind of slow clock, which is what we want. Now, I'm going to face a comparator out this way and then in this way. And you'll see something's already happening. Every single time this comparator sees this block go in, it sends a signal out and it powers our crafter. This is perfect. It's exactly what we want to happen. I'm going to place a solid block right here with a comparator facing out. I'm going to explain all this redstone to you here in just a second, so don't worry. And I'm going to, just while crouching, I'm going to click here. So I have a solid block in front of that comparator. I'm going to place a redstone torch right here, solid block right here, and redstone dust there. So let me explain this entire thing to you so you understand how it works before we put stuff in our crafter, and we're actually going to do that here together. So this all works together as one complete system. What's going to happen here is I'm going to put some iron in here. We're going to turn off all these slots. And you can start out with almost any amount of iron. You'll need enough to at least put a full stack inside of each of these slots. And you'll see this is just like a crafting table. If you were to go to a crafting table and you put iron in this slot and iron in this slot, you'll get yourself shears. So you will want to fill these 2 slots with iron, and then you'll want to start dumping iron into the system here. Now, this is what's going to happen as soon as I put iron in here. Whenever there is something inside of this hopper right here, aka our iron is coming out of the chest and going into this hopper. This comparator right there, we'll see that that's the case. It'll turn on, it'll get powered. And when it gets powered, it unpowers this torch. So this torch turns off and this redstone dust turns off. Right now, the way the system works is since this redstone dust is on, powering this block, the block that's inside of our hopper clock is turned off, or it can't move because this hopper is disabled. So this block cannot move because the hopper is powered, doesn't let it move. The second that this lights up, this turns off, this clock can start working and that item can go back and forth and back and forth. And as you guys saw earlier, every time it goes back and forth, this comparator right here sends power to this solid block. Every time this solid block gets powered, it then powers the crafter and it will craft 1 item. It'll craft 1 set of shears. So you're going to watch here. What's going to happen is I'm going to fill this up with iron, put as much in here as you want. It'll last you a long, if you fill this whole double chest, it'll last you a long time. Now look what's happening. The iron is going into the crafter and it is crafting. And every time that it crafts, it's automatically getting filled back up with iron. So this thing stays full all the time. It's crafting shears. Our shears go down and then they get sucked up by the first dispenser. Then they're going to go over and go into this one. Then they're going to go over and go into this one right here. Now, next, they're going to come into this one. You'll see them drop in just a second. And it's going to fill every dropper and then every hopper and then all of these hoppers with shears. And it's going to keep doing that until a shear is left inside of here. That means the system is full. Once there's a shear permanently stuck inside of this hopper, you'll see it in just a little bit. What'll happen is this comparator is going to see that and it's going to stay turned on. When this comparator right here stays turned on, it's going to do just like this guy over here did. It's going to lock this hopper and it's going to keep that block from coming out of it, meaning that our clock stops running. So essentially what's going to happen is every time any of our shears and any of our dispensers breaks because it gets used too many times, when that happens, it is going to automatically shut this thing off. Whenever we run out of iron in here, it's going to automatically shut this thing off and not let it run, and you would have to come put in more iron. So you'll see here what's about to happen. Let me see if I can find it. Is this thing should be, yep, it's filling up. So you see it's filling up to here, and then watch what happens when it gets to here. And there we go. So this shear is now stuck because everything else is full. So now that has a shear stuck in it. That is on. Our block is locked in here. The system's turned off. You can go ahead and fill this up with iron if you would like to. That part, of course, is totally up to you. These shears will last you a very, very long time. I don't even know how. I can imagine this will last hundreds of hours of being able to work. Now what we want to do is we want to kind of like bee-proof this area. What I recommend that you do, close off all of your sides like this. And then go ahead and put a solid block here and here. That's going to keep our bees from getting inside underneath here. We don't want them to do that. And honestly, we probably don't want them to get in here at all because bees like to get themselves stuck. So we can put solid blocks here. And they may even try to get their way inside of here. So we're just going to block all of this extra space off so the bees can't get in. This is perfect. We don't have to worry about bees getting stuck at all. Next thing we need to do is we need to get our dividers in. You could do really whatever you want to do here. If you just want to do solid blocks, you can. You saw in my world, if you want to go back and look, I used fences and fence gates. The main thing is if you're going to use fences because you like that look better, or fence gates, you cannot have it be only this tall, because what'll happen is the farmer over here will think that he can share with the farmer over there, and they'll throw crops to each other. or try to at the very least. You don't want them to do that. So if you do fences or a wall or something, make sure it's at least 2 blocks tall, just like this. For our purposes here, I'm just going to use walls because it'll be easier. Actually, I'll probably just use glass because it'll be a little bit easier for you guys to see. So let me get that in. Okay, next thing you're going to want to do, I thought we were going villagers yet. We're close, but not yet. Next thing you're going to want to do is decide what crops are going to go in what areas. This could be whatever mix you want. It doesn't really matter. So if you just want all potatoes, do all potatoes. If you want 2 wheat, 1 potato, 1 carrot, then do that. The mixture doesn't matter. I always like to do 1 of each just because I'm a weirdo that likes to grow beetroot. But you're going to want to go ahead and plant everything right now. So go ahead and fill your quadrants up with whatever crop that you want. Okay, so I have all of my crops down. Now we need to temporarily make this place into a village. I say temporarily. Well, actually, it'll probably stay a village. But there is going to be like 1 temporary element to this. So first, I'm going to place down a bed because I do need this to be recognized as a village. 1 bed plus 1 villager equals the area is considered to be a village. Next thing I want to do is get these guys into the pods, into the quadrants. And it's actually quite easy to do. Don't worry about them being farmers or not. We'll worry about that here in just a little bit. So this first guy, I'm going to put into the first quadrant here that has just potatoes. And you could do the same thing for the potato guy and the carrot guy only. You can put them in the pod without having to put anything in their inventory. And by the way, you're going to want villagers that have an empty inventory. Most importantly, you don't want them to have wheat or bread, because if they have one of those 2 things, that villager is really probably just ruined. So as long as he doesn't have one of those 2 things, you're good. If a villager happens to have something else, let's say potatoes, carrots, wheat seeds, or beetroot seeds in their inventory, what you can do once you get them in the pod is just break plants and then let the villager take whatever he has in his inventory. Let's say this is the potato pod, but my villager has wheat seeds. If I come in here, just break some of the potatoes and pick them up, I pick them up, don't let the villager pick them up. He'll come and take the wheat seeds that he has and he'll plant them down. And what you could do is just keep knocking up the things that he's planting until he has nothing left. So you can empty their inventory that way, but you cannot do that if they have wheat in their inventory or if they have bread in their inventory. You do not want your villager to have either one of those things. Okay, that being said, that part being done, how do you get the villagers in here? It's actually kind of easy. Go ahead and first you're going to want to trap them in boats and get them close by. You're going to want to put a lead on the boat and probably get a oh, hello. You're going to let me expand this out a little bit because you guys will probably have floor here. I don't. I'm going to want to jump up here like this, and I want to get my villager over here. I'm going to get right here. I'm going to jump up 1, 2, 3. Okay, perfect. So now that got my villager over. You could just break the leaves and pull them in too. It's up to you, I guess, how you want to do it. But once I get him over here, I just need to push him in. And once I push him in, I detach my lead. I break my boat. Be super careful when you're breaking a boat, by the way. Like, get to the side and punch it and make sure you don't hit your villager. And then you could break it with your sword. I'm in creative, so it broke right away. And then I do want to get those 2 planted back down. I'll fix that part right there a little bit later. But as you can see, we have 1 villager, 1 pod. The carrot guy is going to basically be the same thing. Just go ahead and just get him in his pod. The wheat and beetroot guys, this is the one thing you have to do first. And you got to make sure you put them in the right pin. I'm going to get myself some beetroot seeds or wheat seeds. And I'm going to get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 stacks of seeds first. 8 stacks of seeds. And I'm going to give this guy all 8 stacks. And then I'm going to use my little trick to pick him up, and I'm going to walk him down here, whatever way you guys want to. I'm going to get him in here, right? And I think this is, yep, this is the beetroot side. I'm going to get him into the beetroot side here. And then I'm going to set him loose. And then he will plant once we get him converted over. I'm going to do the same thing with the wheat guy. And for some reason, he does not want to pick up the seeds. Hello? If they don't pick up the seeds, you might have to make them a farmer first. I'm going to go ahead and I'm just going to set down all 4 of my composters real quick. So 1, 2, 3, 4. This will make them all farmers. He picked up his seeds. I would take my lead and get him over here, whatever way that you guys do, and then plop him down. And then bam. So he's in the wheat side. He's in the beetroot side. Everybody's in the right spot at this point. Now, you want to lock these guys in as farmers. You can technically leave these here. The only problem with it is they're going to want to come to this area. So a lot of your villagers will end up making their way and like favoring this corner over here. But here's a nice little trick that you can do. Get enough emeralds. It's not going to take many. Get enough emeralds to trade with each of these guys one time. So go up to them and just buy bread. Go up to them, buy bread. Buy bread. And buy bread. Now they're all locked in as farmers. They can't change. I can actually just get rid of this. I don't need them here because they're locked in as farmers. They don't have to have a composter to work. The next thing we want to do is we want to set up our storage. And your storage can really go wherever you want it to go. And since we ran our minecarts on this side with a purpose, we knew we were going to put our storage over here. I'm going to set up a little area for storage. And what I'm going to want to have is 8 rows or 8, I guess, columns of chests. Let me get a little area set aside and I'm going to show you what to do. Okay, so first things first, get started out with chests. You want 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. And as much of this as you want to store, go ahead and build upwards. So in my survival world setup, you saw I went 5 blocks high or 5 chests high. So I'm going to do that here. Next, run hoppers into the back of every single chest. Next, run a row of hoppers going across like so. Next, you're going to want to place some temporary blocks right here and face hoppers forward like this. So you have a row of hoppers facing forward above your highest line of chests and place down a couple temporary blocks here. And you're going to want to run hoppers in this direction. Here at the end, I'll add in the system for the overflow of making bone blocks. So stay around for that. Next thing you want to do though, is you want to put a row of blocks right here at the chest level, a row of blocks above that. Where's my glass blocks? We want to put glass blocks across here. Temporary block and a solid block right there. Blocks here. And then same thing right here. Just use, everywhere you see me using the smooth stone, use some type of solid block. The glass has to be glass. Okay, make sure the glass is actually glass there. I'm not going to show you guys how this works. It's just a typical item filter. You can look up a tutorial on it. I have plenty if you want to know more of how they work. We're going to place comparators coming out. We're going to put redstone dust on all of these right here. We're going to put torches on the bottom underneath the glass. And we're going to put repeaters facing this direction towards the blocks. Now we need a filler item. You'll take your filler item, whatever it may be, doesn't matter as long as it's not something that's going into the system. You do not want to use crops here. You're going to want to use something that's not going to make its way into this system. And you're putting it in every hopper that is that line above the chests. Next, you're going to want at least one of each crop type that you are collecting. So we're going to be collecting wheat seeds. We're going to be collecting beetroot seeds. We're going to be collecting wheat, carrots, potatoes, poisonous potatoes, and where's the beetroot? Beetroot, and then honeycomb as well. So that is our 8 things. And you can get rid of the poison potatoes some way if you want to. I'm still holding out hope that they will one day have a purpose. And you can just put these whatever rows you want them in. So I'm going to have this one be the potato row. This one be the poison potato row. This one be carrots. This one be wheat. This one be beetroot. This one be wheat seeds. This one be beetroot seeds. And this one be honeycomb. And there we go. All of those slots have been designated. Next thing we need to do though is we actually need to get our stuff into the system. So I'm just going to run a couple hoppers out. You could kind of put this wherever you want to. I don't even know how this is going to turn out exactly. Maybe you want this to kind of be hidden though. So I don't know, maybe you like come out here or something. The important part is we need both of these lines to make their way up there. So this part's a little bit harder to just give a step-by-step on because it's going to matter a little bit where you want to put things. But I want to show you the general premise of how I did it so you guys can follow along and do it yourselves. So this was our hopper line. And what I did was I came out several blocks. So we came out 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 hoppers out. And it looks like my space like perfectly made it. So you're going to want to at least have 5 hoppers out from your storage area, if not more, for that line that's feeding into all of your system. Okay. And then I went a couple of hoppers this way as well. Another like 1, 2 into that. So you're going to want to at least do that. You're going to want to at least get yours laid out this far away. If you want, you can just look at the spacing that I have right here. It's pretty easy to tell where everything is. You can copy this exactly how I have it if you want to. Here's the important part though. So where these hoppers come to, and you can see where they're all facing, we're going to have 2 hoppers right here. This guy facing into this one, and this one feeding into our hopper line. And what you're going to do is, oh, I even forgot something here. Let me grab it. You're going to have a solid block diagonally below this hopper. And you're going to have a comparator reading out of this hopper. You're going to have that going into a solid block. Let me give you a better view. You're going to have that going into a solid block with a torch on top of it, a redstone torch. And on top of that redstone torch is going to be another solid block. And on top of this block right here is redstone dust. Then you're going to give yourself a 1 block gap. You're going to do the exact same thing. Exact same thing you did here. Do it here. But with the difference of we want to run these items out this way. So you'll see how that is. It's the exact same as this. It just curves around because we don't want any of these hoppers to get locked by touching blocks that are getting powered. So you can kind of see here from below, the items go here, they come this way, they go in, and then they connect into the same hopper line, just at a different point. So that's your setup. Pause it during any of those views I just gave you to replicate it exactly if you would like to. These are powered rails going here. They're going up a block. They're going to a solid block right here with a regular rail. And then we want to have another powered rail right here. And after that, it's just running the rails however you have to get them down to right there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use the one further on this side. And all I did was every other block, I put a powered rail. This is probably overkill for powered rails, but that's what I did. And I ran it down, snaked it around, and into this line where the hopper minecart's going. Remember, this was our area where hopper minecarts were coming out. And then you can see I did the same with this line. So there's a good view of how I ran the rails if you want to do something very similar. And then where the rails ended up going to. Now, what may help is I'm going to put a hopper minecart down. You can see when I put one right here, what's going to happen is it's going to take off automatically. Same thing right here. And they're going to run their course until they get back and come back over to this side. Now, the way that this thing works, just to be super brief and simple, is whenever these hoppers are empty, this comparator is turned off, which means this thing is powered. So an empty hopper minecart equals power. But when that hopper minecart comes in with a whole bunch of carrots, let's say, to fill in, let me get you guys an example here. It could be anything, but we'll use wheat. When I put wheat in here and I push this guy in, you see he stops right there. It's putting all of the drops, all of the wheat into here. This thing is turned off. And what'll happen is once this hopper right here gets emptied out, then it'll turn this thing back on and the hopper minecart will be on its way. This is an automatic hopper minecart unloader. Very, very nice thing to know. You can use this for a lot of different systems. It is extremely useful. And there it goes. It's on its way. And I don't want that because I already have one bouncing around down here. We don't want another one in there. That'll mess it up. Okay, so now that all of our stuff here is collecting, now we're going to want to make this thing overflow proof. Basically, if we fill up with all potatoes, we want those potatoes to go somewhere, right? We don't want them to clog up our system because then our system will break. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to run a couple of hoppers this way, and we're going to go into actually 2 composters. I do 2 because I don't know that one's enough to keep up. I think it is, but we're gonna do 2 just in case. So I'm going to, let's see, I'm gonna put one here and one here. These villagers will actually link to them. I mean, it's fine. There's nothing I can really do about it. So we're gonna put those guys here. And actually, I'm sorry, they got to go down by 1. They have to go here. The reason why they have to go right there, you'll see. Let me put down some temporary blocks here. I run this way, is because you have to point your hopper straight down into the composters. So our items come through here, then they go down into the composters. Then let me put down another temporary block. Let's go this direction. So all of our bone meal is going to come out and go this way. Then we're going to go into our crafter. Now I'm going to face my crafter this direction so I can work with some of the redstone here in just a moment. You'll see. What I'm going to do is I am going to have a comparator come outside of the crafter here. And I'm going to have not this. And I'm going to have a crafter right here as well. Doesn't matter which way this one faces. And a comparator facing this way. I'm going to leave all of these spaces alone. I'm not going to do anything. I'm going to leave all of these spaces alone. I'm not going to do anything. And then I am going to do this right here. So we're going to make a clock out of this. Let me get myself a repeater. And let me get myself some redstone dust. And then you put this on 2 ticks. And what's going to happen is as bone meal goes into this, every time it gets full, it will spit out a bone block, but it will only go off whenever it gets full and won't go off any other time, which means all of our bone blocks will come out. Now, we don't want these to just shoot into nothing. We want these to go into a chest or a series of chests. So what I'm going to do is, I don't know, we'll set up like 1, 2, 3 chests right here. Should be good. We're going to run some hoppers into the back here. I am going to put a temporary block right here so I can face that way. We don't want to face it down. If you face it straight down into there, it's not that big of a deal. But what's going to happen is half of your bone blocks will end up going in here, or maybe even all of them, and some will go down here. So you don't want that to happen. So we're going to face it sideways. And then we just need to bring it over to here. Oh, and one other thing, I forgot this. I told you don't click any of these. I was wrong. Click all of them. Click every single one of them. That's what we need to do. And you can leave this light right here turned off. So now what should happen is as I run my potatoes through and they get turned into bone meal, you can see that this is going to get 1 bone meal, but it's not going to go off. It's only going to go off when it gets completely filled with bone meal. Here, let me get it close. And there, it went off and it only triggered 1 time. So now, unlike my problems I was having before, I was trying to figure this out, we'll only get bone blocks. So now this thing is overflow proof. The only thing that will sometimes happen is sometimes a poison potato will skip the filter. What'll happen is it'll end up in like this first slot. It's not really that big of a deal because like you can't compost poison potatoes, but the composter knows that, so it'll just pull from the second slot. So every once in a while, you might want to check and just pull the poison potatoes out of here. It would take, I don't even know, like so many hours, probably 100+ hours for this thing to get completely full of poison potatoes to where it doesn't work anymore. Last but not least, let's see this thing actually operate. And here we go. I just sped up the growth really quick temporarily. Now you see what's happening. The villagers are picking up the crops and they're planting the crops. So they pick up what they need to fill their inventory back up. Whatever they can't hold will stay down there. Now, since we didn't pre-fill our carrot guy and our potato guy, there's nothing left on the ground right now. So it'll take a little bit for them to fill up their inventory for the first time. Whereas this guy right here, he's already got an inventory full of seeds. So he'll pick up the seeds he needs to replace what he plants. Otherwise, everything else stays on the ground. He can't pick up any of the wheat. Same thing with the beetroot guy right here. And then what'll happen down below is our carts will just continually go back and forth and pick up everything. And then whatever they have, they will unload. And then last but not least, you're going to want to get some bees in the area. So Oz already probably brought some inside of one of the nests that you brought. Now's the time to get your bees out. You're going to want at least 3 per hive. So we have 8 hives, so we're going to want at least 24. I'm just going to spawn them in, but you guys would be breeding them with flowers. Feed the bees flowers and they will breed, and get yourself to where you have at least 24. Having a few extra is not a bad idea because it just means the farm will work a little bit faster, including how much honeycomb you get. So I have 24 of them here now, and if you're worried, oh my gosh, well, my bees they're going to fly away, like they're not going to stay in the area. I've tested this a lot. I've run this thing for dozens of hours in survival. I've not had a single bee go away because we have the whole thing surrounded like this. The bees stay attracted to the flowers enough to where they don't go elsewhere. I will give you a word of warning. The time when this would maybe not happen would be if you put this like, say, like above ground and there's other flowers around. The bees might get distracted and then they'll fly over to the flower that's over here. And then they might say, oh, okay, there's another flower over here. And then eventually they might get far enough away to where they cannot detect their nest or those flowers anymore. So you're just going to want to make sure that that happens. Also, you can see another inefficiency that's happening here is they're pollinating air, which is obviously not what you want to happen. So my setup is inside of a cave. I don't have that happen quite as much, but if you want the bees to be 100% efficient, you will want to cage this whole thing in. Just make sure you do it to where the bees have enough room to kind of like fly from area to area. So basically, if you're going to put some type of roof on it, go at least this high. If you go at least this high, the bees have enough room to fit through without getting stuck on each other, and you can roof the whole thing off if you want to. Otherwise, that is it. This thing is all done. It produces so many crops. It is such an awesome farm. I really like it a lot. Not just because I like getting the crops, but maybe even more so because I like that it's so alive. The villagers aren't locked up in a small 1x1. They have a decent amount of space to do their thing. The bees flying around will all look really cool. You get so many good things from it. Getting the honeycomb from it is nice too, especially with all of their uses with copper now. You're going to want some honeycomb because you need to use that for your copper golems if you don't want them to turn into statues, or for your copper blocks you're decorating with, or whatever. Anyways, if you enjoyed this farm, please let me know by clicking the subscribe button, by liking the video, and by turning on notifications. If you're still watching at this point, then you're a real one and you probably want to do all those things. So make sure you do it. Don't forget. Thank you so much, and I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.